And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
One of the neat things about Thunderstone, I think, is that they just keep seeming to refine the game as it goes on and on. We have here the newest expansion for Thunderstone Advance, the Root of Corruption. And one of the things that they're doing with their new sets, I've noticed, is that they have a very strong theme about them. And this one, the theme here is corruption. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at many of the cards from the set and an alternate scenario that the set provides, and then I'll come back here and tell you what I think. Alright, there's a lot of different cards in this set. I can't go over every single one of them, but I can talk about a lot of the cards. First of all, they give you a whole bunch of cards that came in previous sets. These were ambusher cards. You can see here the Troll Skullcracker and stuff. The biggest difference here is that they have this little ambusher icon on there to let them know that they have that. So basically these are just reprints with a nice upgrade. So we have those. Now let's take a look at some of the new cards that come in the game. One of the big features of this set is the fact that cards that will help you can also hurt you. For example, here's a Debased Wizard, which is worth 2 gold in the light, but when you use it, you're going to gain a curse. And then you can use an ability basically twice. And here you can ignore a battle effect in a dungeon. This is a great ability. The problem is you get a curse when you do it. And that's kind of the theming here, where good things happen to you, but bad things also. Another example would be the Hedge Witch, where you can destroy as many diseases as you want, and then you discard experience to get a magic attack or drawing cards. So again, this is something that's useful, but you're giving up something good to get it. The Stable Hand, where you destroy a card in your discard pile, which you might want to do, or destroy this card to place your deck in your discard pile. So it's an okay card, just like the Hysterical Villager. These are cheap, easy cards that you can destroy to get gold. This is all about destruction and bad things. Here, I can change all my magic attack to physical attack, or vice versa. That's a great card, but I got to get rid of an experience to do it. And I can destroy that card to get a curse if I add physical attack 2 or strength plus 3 to one hero. So again, these are cards that help. Here's the Rage of Disowned. I really enjoy this one. It's a great spell. One hero gets physical attack plus 5. You can't destroy them, blah, blah, blah. But then they're destroyed at the end of the battle. So you can make someone super powerful, ignoring all the monster effects, and then they die at the end. Or a Cursed Dagger. Physical attack plus 2, and I can take a curse to give it more. Take 2 curses to give plus 2. I mean, am I willing to take 3 extra curses to give myself physical attack plus 3? Well, I might in case of emergency, and it's a very easy dagger that anybody can use, but it's cursed. But this doesn't just occur with the weapons and the villager stuff. It even happens with the new heroes. Here we have the Profaned Acolyte, or the Profaned Patriarch, who's a magic attack 1, and in a dungeon gives you an extra light, but then gives you a curse. He's very cheap, but gives you a curse. I mean, in his full version, you can destroy a disease to give yourself magic attack plus 3 and draw 1 card. So he gets better, but at the beginning, not quite so useful. Same thing with the Moonclaw Scout and Moonclaw Ranger. If you don't defeat a monster, he dies. Here, physical attack plus 4, and you can switch monsters, so he gets better as time goes by. So anyway, that's, again, the kind of the theme of the deck. There's also some other good cards in the deck. We have Elven Waybread, which we know feeds hobbits quite well. Gives everyone strength plus 2, but again, you discard it. Here's one I very much like, a Circle Protection, which can stop a raid, breach, or aftermath effect. Destroying this card, of course. Mind Control, you can play on somebody else. The Live Oak Bow, I mean, it's about time we have a bow that it's a 5. Although it's -1 for each rank that the monster is in that you're fighting against, but still, that can be very useful to go up against monsters having a bow that just really rocks. And then speaking of rocking, there we go, just a straight up axe, physical attack plus 5. Powerful. The difference here is, I mean, obviously it's very heavy to carry, and it's not the cheapest weapon in the world, but, well, whatever. This one's interesting. The Maul actually subtracts 2 from your physical attack. However, it adds physical attack equal to your equipped hero's strength. So if you happen to have a strength of 10, or 8 or 6 or whatever your strength is, especially if you eat food, this can be one of the most powerful weapons in the game. And then we have your typical great sword, which adds 3, and you can discard this sword to get rid of a monster. Okay, some more people. There's level 1 and 3 of the Silver Tongue person who can get rid of village cards to get yourself more gold. A Blade Mage Striker who has magic attack and light, and in her most powerful form lets you turn spells into weapons. Very, very cool. Another Dwarf, the Armsman, starts off normal physical attack +2, but can take a weapon from the village pile, use it, and then discard it, or discard another one. Then we have an Honormane, someone on a horse, basically, where you can get rid of diseases. They're a cleric, but at the same time, they have a very powerful physical attack. And then probably my favorite new thing, just because it's basically a treant, or in this game, it's called Tree Folk, where just, I mean, look at the strength, 10. They can't use weapons, but in the dungeon, it has a physical attack of 3, and as time goes by, can add a physical attack of +6. Everyone draws a card, and you can even destroy diseases to draw more cards. Some pretty neat stuff. The game also comes with more treasures that you can get and use, and that I'm a big fan of the treasure aspect of this game. I like the addition that it has. If you've not had treasure before, basically treasures come underneath a monster, and if you defeat that monster, you get the treasure, but the treasure adds something to the monster. For example here, add health equal to the highest gold value in a card present. So when you fight him, that monster's a little bit harder to defeat, but once you get it, you have a weapon that's a +3 attack, and in the village gives you gold equal to the gold value of all the monsters in the hall, which can be a pretty big deal. Speaking of monsters, there's a brand new monster called the Thrall Summoner in this one. And when he comes out and you fight him, rather than fighting him, he will summon somebody from a Thrall deck. You can see the Grudge Beast Thrall, the Griffin Thrall, the Pegasus Thrall, and there's all sorts of Thralls in this deck. And these are all monsters that we've seen before in other sets, but here they basically come out, and if you beat them, you get the summoner and this. The problem is, when you go to fight a summoner, you don't know who he's going to summon. So he might summon someone who's awfully powerful, but he also might summon someone who's not that big of a deal. So that's up to you. Let's see, we also have the Jin Bounds, the Minions of Decay, and again, the monsters in this deck emphasize this destruction aspect. Here, this guy destroys it, gives you a curse, and he adds health equal to the number of heroes present. We have the Nulls, which it's another typical race from fantasy worlds, and it's good to see them. Elementals, Earth Elementals, which can be very powerful, especially this one here. A magic attack is required, and destroy one hero with magic attack. So you need magic attack, but then he's going to kill you. So there's lots of those. We have Incarnates, which horrible things. Look at this one. Physical attack and magic attack required. And then every hero, if you get this card in the future, each hero will suffer attack -1. So that can be negative. And then I like these, the Guard. These are basically corrupted heroes. We've seen these before, where we've had corrupted versions of cards in the deck, and this is the same thing again. And I'm a big fan of these just because it's like looking in the dark side, looking at cards that you really like using, and all of a sudden they're corrupted. We have a new Guardian, a powerful one. Look at this one. Add health +4 to every monster. And then another Guardian, Thunderstone Bearer, just nasty, a new king. So those are basically the new cards in the set. There's also a new way to play the game. It comes with a sheet here, and this is a siege game. This is a cooperative game that people will play. And what you do is you're going to be building wall sections. You're supposed to use experience tokens here. I go find cubes or some other kind of token because I don't like mixing them up with experience tokens, but you're going to put 5 on each of these wall sections. And depending on how many players play, that's how many rows you're going to, or columns you're going to use. And you're going to put monsters from a big deck of monsters here. And then you play the game as normal. And after each person's turn, you get to turn over one of these cards. And once every card gets turned over, one more turn, and then all the monsters advance, and you will add more monsters to the back row. And you will keep doing that. And when the monsters advance from this row, they will destroy a wall section, and they'll also go into like a victorious pile. In essence, at the end of the game, every monster that you defeat, and you can go out and fight these monsters, you can see that depending on where the monster is, depends on the darkness and how you fight it and so on and so forth, and there's even a chance you can push the monsters back a bit. But if the monster destroys a wall section, then he goes into a victorious monster pile, and if you defeat them, you get to keep them in your deck like normal, and at the end of the game, you will compare the power, the victory points of the ones that all the players have defeated to all the ones that have attacked, and you may have stopped the monsters, but if their value is greater, well, then it's a Pyrrhic victory, and, well, they've killed everybody, but hey, you stopped them. It's like some terrible battle. And so it's an interesting way to play the game. Everyone's working together. It's very difficult because the monsters just they keep coming, and if you don't get a deck growing and fast enough, you know, ready to go and go out and fight, you're going to be in some serious trouble. So it's a neat scenario. There's a couple other scenarios included in the book, but this is the most unique one that's here. So as these successful monsters break through the walls, you're trying to fight them back, and if they ever breach through any of the wall, you automatically lose. And if a whole bunch of them push forward at the same time, you'll lose a section on every wall. So there's a few other rules, but that's basically what's in this set. Whew, I tell you, like I said, the corruption thing here really matches. This is not a set for beginners. This is a set for people, I don't know, who think that Thunderstone is too easy. The cards here certainly up the difficulty level. Not that it makes the game harder to play, but it makes it harder to make decisions. A lot of these cards are tempting because they're useful, but they hurt you all the time. It's like going into battle against a dragon and you're on crutches. And but you got a big sword. I like it, don't get me wrong, and there's some really cool stuff in here. I really like the new powerful weapons, the axe and the bow. Those are great. I like the new hero. Well, I don't like all the heroes. Some of them are, this negativity, that's not something I like as much. I don't like to punch myself once so I can punch the enemy twice. That's not my style of play. I'd rather just be ultra powerful. Maybe I'm a munchkin. But this game does offer a lot of choices. If you thought Thunderstone wasn't very strategic, you really got to play with this expansion. The whole cooperative thing, it's like a whole nother game in the box. You're playing Thunderstone, but suddenly you're all working together. You're all helping each other. Normally you're like, yeah, maybe you should buy that card because you don't want the other people to succeed. Here, you're talking together and saying, okay, why don't you fight that monster? What monster can you fight? You know, let's work to fight these monsters off. And it's a fun alternative. I don't know that I'd want to play it over, you know, regular Thunderstone all the time, but I will certainly give this one a shot. Especially, I'm fond of mixing all the enemies together, making my epic Thunderstone game, but in this one, I would actually put the same kind of monsters together so that it has a more thematic flavor as the monsters march towards your castle. Here comes the gnolls, here comes the goblins, here comes the elementals. And the monsters get harder, and they're actually, a guardian does show up when you're in this cooperative game. So is this expansion good? Yes. Definitely not the first one you should get. That I would get the last one. I would get the original Thunderstone Advance, of course. But if you thought Thunderstone was easy, if you thought the choices were simple, this is something that you can add to give yourself a whole lot more options. Yeah, these options are going to slap you in the face sometimes, but that's a challenging reward that you can work over, and a lot of people are going to enjoy that.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find the latest board game news at Dicetowernews.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Fun Again Games, the world's best game source. Fun Again Games has over 5,000 games available. Check them out at funagain.com.
Shut the door!